Hi, everyone. I'm Davina McPhail, a Spring Activator, and so introducing my co-speakers today, Keith and Kahe. Keith, if you want to say a quick hi.
Yeah, greetings, everybody. It looks like we have a great turnout already from across Canada. I'm Keith, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Spring. Kahe, over to you.
Hi, everyone. So nice to have everyone join this session. I am an investment director with the Telus Pollinator Fund. Back over to you, Davina.
Great. So I'll share my screen.
Great. And just while you're sharing your screen, it's been fantastic to see people dialing in from different cities and different provinces across the country. I'm just reading the chat list. So for everybody, don't be shy. Stay high in the chat. Let us know where you're coming from and what company you have.
Great. Thank you, Keith. So, so welcome everyone to the Founder Information Center session for the Women-Led Impact Investor Challenge. So great to see you all. Great, about 140 of you registered to this event. So a big interest and big enthusiasm for this program, which is, for Spring and Telus Pollinator Fund is very exciting as we've been working on this and preparing over the past few weeks on this. As Spring is based in Vancouver, and I think most of the people on this call also today, we wanted to respectfully acknowledge that we are located on the traditional and unceded territory of the Squamish, Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. So our agenda for today, so we'll have a quick welcome, start with a few welcomes from the partners. Then we'll take you, I'll take you for an overview of the program and of the Impact Investor Challenge, the Women-Led Impact Investor Challenge. So you'll learn today about what this challenge is, how it is structured, and what you can learn from it as founder. We'll also talk about the selection criteria. So feel free we'll be sharing about all of this. So ask any questions. There is a ask a question button. I don't know. There's a bit of echo. Is it only on my side?
I think it's just on your side. It's all clear on my side.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So do feel free to use the ask a question function. This is where you can ask a question. You can also vote for the questions that you think are the most interesting, and so we'll address those in order. And then the chat, of course, for interactions, reactions. We always love to see you react to the things that you say, so feel free to use that. We'll also use the chat to share links that you can use to apply to get more information about all this, about the program and any additional information. So thank you for that. To start, I would like to hand it over to Keith, our CEO and co-founder, to tell us a bit more about Spring. I think at Spring, we've been excited to support a lot of women founders through the years. So Keith, why don't you tell us about all this work that's been doing?
Absolutely. So thank you very much. And everybody, again, just really excited to be able to share this space with you. And so I'd love to dig in and tell you a little bit about Spring. So Spring exists to change the world through innovation. And over the last 8.5 years, we have had an opportunity to work with a diverse range of early stage impact entrepreneurs, as well as impact investors, to make the world a better place, proudly certified B Corporation and a member of 1% for the Planet. As a part of the next step, we also have had the good fortune of working on a global stage, now more than 55 communities around the world, so dotted across Canada, but then also South and Southeast Asia, Latin America, Europe. And so for us, I think that's just been an incredible part of the journey that we've had so far. And that's some of the experience and expertise that we will bring in support of entrepreneurs and investors in this Women-Led Impact Investor Challenge. We have a diverse range of experience with the companies, now more than 1,500 entrepreneurs trained, 500 companies launched. Through the Impact Investor Challenges, and our aligned investment readiness program, we've helped entrepreneurs to raise more than $30 million in capital, actually over 35 million now. And we're really moving the dial on access to capital for women-led and co-led ventures. Davina, I'm sure you're going to be talking a bit more about this, but of all the programs that we have run so far in the Impact Investor Challenge, all but one of the winners have been women-led or co-led ventures. We also have been moving the dial on the number of investors in the programs who are female funders and women investors. And that's actually one of the big drivers for this program. So really excited about the progress that we've made so far to date. This gives you a bit of an overview of the Spring team. We've just had an incredible and growing team. And if you want to get a sense as to who we are and how much diversity and equity and inclusion is important to Spring, I think you look no further than the backgrounds, experiences, and expertise of this team. And for us, I think it's just been really powerful. We have team members on Vancouver Island, Vancouver, Toronto, in Canada. We also have a team member in San Francisco and a team member in Singapore. So really trying to bring, I think, that diverse range of experience to the table in support of you, the founders, as well as the investors coming to the table. So just really proud of all that the team has been able to accomplish today. So with that in mind, what I'd love to do is I'd love to hand it over now to Kahe, who will tell you a bit more about Telus Pollinator Fund for Good, Canada's largest corporate VC fund, and I believe the largest impact fund in Canada as well. But Kahe is going to tell you all about it, and I look forward to the rest of the session.
Thanks, Keith, and Davina, and the Spring team for giving us this opportunity to tell a little bit more about the Telus Pollinator Fund for Good. Maybe a little bit about myself first. I'm an investment director with Telus Pollinator Fund. I've been involved in the impact space since about 2010, 2011. And that was just around the time I remember meeting Keith, and he was launching Spring Activator. And every time Keith shares that screen of the 55 communities around the world that Spring is active in, it's always a real kind of really impressed by the role that Spring plays in the ecosystem, connecting both capital to early stage founders as yourselves on the call, but also creating a pipeline that gets more capital and more interested investors in deploying their money towards meaningful businesses that are generating financial return and impact. So just a shout out to Spring and pulling together this incredible cohort of investors, and obviously hitting the mark on having a program that is really resonating with women founders and women-led businesses. So maybe to the next slide. So as Keith mentioned, the Telus Pollinator Fund is a $100 million corporate impact investment fund. It was launched just at the tail end of 2020, so right in the middle of COVID pandemic, when our CEO, Darren Entwistle, had really said, listen, Telus has been a real major player in social capitalism for many decades through philanthropy, through the core business units. What else can we do as a leadership company in the corporate space? And how can we leverage our full asset and value set around social impact to really push the boundaries on solutions that address our climate, community, health, and food system needs? And this is where the Telus Pollinator Fund was born. Maybe to the next slide. Our objectives are multiple. So first of all, we are looking for for-profit solutions that really have a chance to scale and make a dent on these challenges that really affect our individual well-being, our community health, and our planet and environmental health. We are looking for financial returns. We are an investment fund. We are a venture fund. But similarly, we don't believe that you need to have growth at all costs, and that you can't, that it is a mutually exclusive option. We think that we can generate financial returns within solutions and businesses that are really solving meaningful challenges that face our community. So we are looking for investments that have measurable impact within the hold period of our investment. We also know that early stage founders are looking for more than just money. We want to be able to leverage the full asset of Telus's 50,000 member company or team member company, and also the commercial networks and technical expertise to be able to really help the company scale. And finally, we really think that the opportunities within the impact space is growing. There's a lot of momentum around the market that's saying, let's put money, not just to generate financial returns, but aligns with our values. And so we partner with different organizations, Spring being the most obvious immediate one with us today, that's really providing unique opportunities to get more founders, more capital, more values-based investing into the market, because we believe that that benefits all investors and all communities across the board. Next slide. So we invest across 4 impact areas. We are looking for innovations that have been that are driving measurable impact in these areas that have really been selected, both in terms of where Telus's market leadership is but also how we can add the most value. So the first one is really looking at sustainable solutions in the food and agriculture space, both in terms of production, in terms of improving nutrient dense foods, in terms of addressing food waste. Climate and climate tech is something that's obviously on everybody's front of mind, and Telus, in addition to making a net zero commitment and going zero waste, we're really living those values and that commitment through Pollinator, and we're looking for solutions that will help accelerate adoption of low carbon solutions that will build climate resilience in communities across the country and around the world. And we are looking for solutions that will really innovate in terms of circular solutions and reduce the overall waste that occurs on a daily basis. We're looking for healthcare solutions. We just did finish up an impact challenge that was focused specifically on this, but we are really looking at how can we address underserved healthcare needs, preventative health solutions, to really expand access to that for communities across Canada. And finally, fundamentally, we think that lifelong opportunities to education is really key to an inclusive economy. And so we are investing in lifelong education initiatives or platforms that start from K-12 education through to upskilling and building more qualifications for post-secondary and even into later stage career opportunities, so that more individuals have a better opportunity to generate or earn a better income. And so those are the 4 investment pillars. They're very broad, obviously, and really fundamentally, we're looking for those solutions within these areas that can scale. Next slide, please. We launched at the end of 2020. I would say we're kind of 18 months now into our investment period, and we've been growing very quickly. So we are now 21 companies in our portfolio across the 4 pillars. You can see the logos of the companies here. These are a sample of those. This is a pretty fast pace into our second year of our fund, and we're looking to expand and continue to deploy capital meaningfully in the years ahead. Really fundamental to our investment thesis beyond just the 4 impact areas is this intent to shift the balance of power and also promote gender diversity within our portfolio companies, and also racial diversity. We fundamentally recognize that right now how venture capital is deployed is imbalanced and disproportionately away from women and away from individuals who have a racialized background. And so we're pretty excited that of our 21 portfolios, nearly half or 40% of our companies are led by women, and more than half are led by founders with backgrounds that are Indigenous or racialized. And that's something that we will continue to bake into our investment process, not fundamentally because we think that diversity is a strength in how founders can see untapped opportunities and are able to scale their solution to new markets and new customers who may require that. Next slide. So very quickly, just to recap, as I know many, like everyone in the audience, are founders and looking for investment funding, and we're constantly on the lookout for investable companies. Overview on what we look for. So we invest at seed to Series A stage companies, and our check size roughly is around $500,000 to $2 million. We're really looking for companies that have a business model where the impact is baked into it. So many companies now are really building in a real sense of community contribution and perhaps a strong kind of philanthropic element or donation base, and that's all very important. The way we assess impact is how does this tie into every dollar that you are able to earn as revenue or every customer that you earn as well. So the impact, measurability, and the integration into your business model is key for us. We look across North America. We will even look international, but there has to be a clear roadmap for impact in Canada. Half of our portfolio right now is based in the US and the rest is in Canada. So it gives you a sense of what we're looking for. Obviously, really mission-aligned founders. We think that, and we know that the growth of a business will take many turns and is not a straight path. And we want to be sure that the company founders that we are working closely with and we would see as close partners share this commitment to impact, and that runs deep in the company. Finally, as I mentioned before, we are a corporate impact fund. We think that this is a really unique position in the market. And in addition to writing a check, we want to see that our involvement can really be a step change in how you go to market and how you refine your product in your tech solution. And so if it's an opportunity where we can both finance and add that value, that's really in the sweet spot of what we're looking for. Finally, we are a technology company. If you have a technology aspect of your business, that is like really key in an added point, but also we're looking for solutions that will fundamentally generate impact. So if the tech solution is a little bit less or not at the forefront of your business, we will still look at that, given that we're looking more for the impact element as well. And I think that comes the end of my section, Davina. Back over to you.
Yeah, sorry, I just muted myself. Sorry about that. No, well, thank you so much, Kahe. I mean, I think the engagement and involvement of Telus and the Pollinator Fund for Good is amazing in the impact space. I think, as you mentioned, I think you're one of the biggest corporate impact fund worldwide, and so it's just like we're really happy and excited to be a partner with you on this and to push this specific topic, of course, of women equity in finance. So really pleased about, and amazing to see, your portfolio grow with companies that are really so well aligned with these objectives. So thank you for that. So I also wanted to thank, of course, this specific program is supported by Telus Pollinator Fund for Good. We also have at Spring sponsors who support us throughout the year and that do support the Impact Investor Challenge with in-kind and contributions. So I wanted to give a shout out to DLA Piper Inc., MNP, Tandem, Genius Capital, Carl Young, and Active Impact for being great supportive of Spring and our programs, and of course of the founders that we work with since many years now. So thank you to them. So what is the Impact Investment Challenge? I think now everybody, we're all here to tell you more about this challenge. Some of you might have heard about it. I see in the audience that some past participants are also here. But to give you a sense of what the Impact Investor Challenge is, we're kind of taking now, like focusing focusing specifically on the women-led. I think important first is to kind of give you the why of why we're doing these challenges. I think these challenges are really an opportunity to gather a community around a specific goal and to work on a specific aspect of impact and the impact that we as an organization want to have in the world. And so the Women-Led Impact Investor Challenge is really focused on supporting women founders, because today women are underestimated in the private equity world and in the VC space. And we really wanted to showcase here the amazing work, of course, that is done by women founders, and the opportunities that can be made available for growth if capital is fueled into these companies. We're also working on, of course, these statistics. You all here as women founders know that there is a huge gap, but kind of I think it's important to also show, to look at the numbers here. If you look at SMEs today in Canada, 15% of these SMEs are owned by women. You also see that 50% of new businesses that are started today are started by women, but 90% of VC deals done today are invested in men founders, and so there's a big disproportion between the amount of companies that are driven by women today and the amount of capital that is going into them. We also see that women-owned businesses are 92% of them are micro farms, so less than 20 employees. And of course, this kind of direct also relationship. For these companies to grow, of course, capital is needed, and there is a big imbalance here. And a last statistic that I think is one that we are keen to work on as part of this challenge is the fact that most investors are more likely to invest in pitches that are done by men. And so I think we will discuss that in more detail in the challenge. But of course, the pitching exercise is a particular one, is one typical of our industry and of the VC world and investing. But it is an exercise that is very much skewed towards men pitchers. And so this is, of course, something that we're very keen to work on through this challenge. So how does the Impact Investor Challenge work? So the Impact Investor Challenge is really designed to support women, entrepreneurs, founders, and investors, and creating connections between these two worlds, so that both investors and founders learn the investment process and how it works and how to make it work. And so from the investor side and from the entrepreneur side, with a very transparent learning exercise where investors kind of get very close interactions with entrepreneurs throughout the process, and it's the same for the entrepreneurs, where you really get to see how the investment process works from the investor point of view. So kind of going a bit more in detail, usually for an investor challenge, we get around 100 applicants on the founder side. So this is the phase that is going on right now, where applications are open, founders can apply. There is an application form, and we ask for founders to provide a deck so that we can use that during the application process. Then Spring, Telus Pollinator Fund for Good, and our partner, the Canadian Women Foundation, will review these applications. And so we will select the top 15 companies to join the program. So at the beginning of September, companies who have been accepted into the investment phase, the investment challenge, will be notified. And so we will select 15 companies, and we will also have a group of around, depends, normally we have around 20 investors. We'll see the last investor challenge for the health challenge with Telus Pollinator Fund, we had 35 investors, so the pool might vary depending on the interest. And then these investors will then go through the programs with the top 15 companies, and then we'll select along the way from 15 to 10 to 5. And then at the end of the program, we'll select one company that they are interested in investing in collectively. So important to note, Telus Pollinator Fund for Good is a supporter of the program, and you've heard about the work that they do in the fund, but they are not an investor in the winning company here. The investor will be the group of women and men investors who have signed up for this program. So it will be the pool funds of these investors that will go in the winning company. And this is really important, actually, because it's really important for the investors to do the selection process and to decide on the final investment that they will make with their own money. And so, as mentioned, this program is an 11 weeks program. You will, as a founder, starting the investor challenge in September. You will initially be trained with a few specific sessions just for the founders, but then quite quickly you will have the first pitch event. And so after orientation and preparation in September, October, the finalist selection will be done through a pitching exercise. And then in October and November, you will be interacting with the group of investors. The investors will conduct a due diligence on the top 5 finalist companies and really get to dig deeper into what your company does. We will guide the investors as part of their training on the investor side to work with you as founders and to build the final investment proposal that you will put on the table. And then the finale will be on November 29th. So this is when you will get a chance as founders, the top 5, to pitch again. And the investors will vote for the one company that they want to invest in. So describing this whole process, I think important to know is that, at each stage of the program, of course, the top 15 companies at the start will get great visibility of their company as participants to the program through being part of the challenge, but also through the pitching exercise. The the first pitch event will be a public event, and so you will get a chance to give great visibility to your company. And then as we go along, so for the top 5 companies, the due diligence exercise is, of course, a very informative and instructive process, just to see and to interact with the investors and see how they do their due diligence and how they build their investment knowledge with the company. And then and then at the end, of course, the final company, the one who will win the pot of investment, will gain, in addition to all the learnings from the previous weeks, will also gain the investment. But I'm just describing this also to share that there's one winner at the end of the challenge, but there are actually usually many more winners, because of course the top 5 companies who will have gone through this due diligence will have gained a lot from learning from that exercise, and also in kind of structuring your whole due diligence, internal material for due diligence, which should be useful regardless. And so really we try to make sure that there's not just one winner, but many winners in this process and this learning experience. So just kind of to share a bit the goals of this program, really, for you as founder, this is really, you will get a chance to learn the ins and outs of what it means to raise capital within a safe space that we're creating for this challenge, where women founders, but also women investors will have a safe space to discuss, exchange, co-create a bit this investment process together. And so this is really one of the goals of the program, is of course a learning one. You also gain exposure to connect with investors who share your core values. I think that's a really important one too, because this is really what we are keen to create with these challenges. It's the learning, but also it's also the connections that you will make. You see how investors kind of build also their thought process, how the big variety of also angel investors. There are many many ways to invest, many different personalities. Everybody comes with their personalities, and so this is really an experience to like working with a group of investors, and of course the connections. I think the investment journey and getting investors for your company is also about making connections and building a group of allies to really not only bring finance to your company, but also support it and support you as a founder, because they have skin in the game and they are part of the journey with you together. So really what we're create the ambition here and what we've done for previous challenges is really to create these connections, the opportunity for you and for your network to feel supported in your growth. So as mentioned, these are the past mentioned by Keith. We've had actually out of the 7 winners of our past investor challenge, 6 of them have been women. So we're very keen to see and that has been done organically. So it's not we were not focused specifically on women founders for this past investor challenges, but we're very keen to see that the fact of having this investor challenge and this training has been really actually in itself very supportive of getting investors to invest in women. So looking a bit at the numbers, we've trained over 160 investors for these different challenges, 7 different challenges. We featured over 170 companies because these companies have participated in the challenge. We've had 38 finalists, so that means that 38 companies have made it to the top 5, and so have learned about this due diligence process and really built a relationship with investors. In total, we over the 7 challenges, that means that we have we have facilitated 970K in direct investment in these 7 companies. So that's really exciting. We're hoping to reach the 1 million at the end of the spring, but we for sure will be surpassing that with the challenge that's coming up here, and really kind of excited to see that this very much hands-on training where people are learning, but investors are also putting their own real money for investment is really exciting. And so that means that we have been able also to catalyze over $15 million in investments. So that means that the companies who have participated in this challenge and the top 5, as of today, they have collectively raised over $15 million. Great. So I wanted to I see that there's a few questions, so maybe I'll pause a little bit for questions. Can companies raise equity loans or other types of investment in the program? So yeah, great question. Actually, the investment usually, the investment challenge has been structured around raising equity, but we are very open to other forms of financial instruments. So the investment can take the form of debt, convertible debt. If you don't know what a convertible debt is, don't worry, we'll also support you in this program to explain what this is. But we are really the program is focused on for-profit companies, but any type of financial instrument is welcome. So depending on you as a founder, what type of instrument you think is the right for you as you're raising funds and as you need funds to build your business. We are very open to different kinds of instruments and even revenue shares. These are actually something that we will build collectively with the investors and find the best tool for you. Looking at the question, does reducing our environmental footprint only include technology? For carbon monoxide, yeah. Would there be consideration of software that facilitate identification of reduction of waste management risk to the environment? So as mentioned, so we'll go a bit more in the eligibility criteria, but of course, any impact company and company with a focus on impact and of course on climate change is welcome. So happy to have. Oh yeah, and sorry, and I saw Kahe, you answered also. Do you want to elaborate a little bit on your answer, or?
I think you've covered it, as long as it's impact kind of focused company. There's so many different solution sets within these fairly broad target outcomes. I think pitch your business, and I'm sure there'll be a way to kind of draw a line to that target impact.
Yeah, and so another great question. So I think the only investment companies in Canada. Yeah. So the investor challenge. Yeah. So it will be focused on Canada, as mentioned by Kahe. And have any other finalists? Great question. Who didn't win receive investment after the challenge? Yeah, I think as mentioned, we have so we're tracking and following up with the companies, the top 5 finalists. And indeed, most of them have continued to raise funds outside of the challenge, and those who have not been the winners have raised funds. So thank you for these questions. And usually, yeah, like the structure that we bring and the support in kind of how the investment process works has been very useful for a lot of founders. So maybe to dig a bit deeper into the topics that we will be covering for the challenge. So of course, the idea is to have a women-led impact investor challenge. So we will focus a lot of the attention of the investors on investing with impact. I think there are very few training programs in Canada to really support investors in their impact investing journey, and this is what we want to bring to the table with Spring and with this program, both the impact investing, the hands-on, but so we will cover topics such as impacts, understanding their impact, investors' impact thesis, and working with the founders to define also your impact and how you measure your impact. We will cover the topics, of course, of what it means to do an investment evaluation, and so how to work with the founders to make a decision: do I invest or don't I invest? So this will be the topics covered in investment evaluation, negotiation, due diligence. But of course, because we are working on this specific topic of supporting women founders, we will have sessions dedicated to addressing biases, addressing the issues of power dynamics in the due diligence process, and so topics that will be mostly relevant for you as founders, as women founders, but also for the investors to kind of shape their investment thesis. So just to give you a little bit more on the investment overview. So in December, there will be approximately $100K dollars for the winning company. We put approximately here because what we see is that usually, so we do gather a team of investors at the start of the program. And so sometimes the amount can be higher than 100K, depending on how many investors signed up and showed interest. So we're currently also gathering the investor group, and so we'll have more information early September at exactly how much the investment pool will be. But the past 2 investor challenges that we've had were the one that we had in the spring for Angels for Climate was 120 at the start, and the Telus Health challenge that we had was started at 160. So this is the 100K is our target, and if we go over it, even better, both for, of course, for the founders, but also for the investors that get a chance to also make an even more significant impact through their investment. And also, what happens is usually is that so this is kind of the initial. There's the initial investment amount, but as the winner also is defined, we also invite past investor challenge participants investors to also invest if they are interested in participating. And so that usually also increases the pool at the end, and gives a chance. So for example, again, for UVX, so the last winner, we started with 160K in a challenge at the start of the program, and in the end, the final investments with 300K. So we don't know yet exactly how that will take shape for this challenge, but just to share a bit what has been done in the past challenges. So then the investment itself takes the form of a special purpose vehicle. So what we do is that Spring creates a special purpose vehicle, which is an investment corporation created just for the investment in the winning company. That means that all the investors will invest in that SPV, and then that it's the SPV who will invest in the winning company. So that creates that gives the possibility for non-accredited investors to participate in this investment. Normally, for those of you who are familiar with angel investing, normally only accredited investors are able to invest directly into a startup. So the creation of the SPV allows for non-accredited investors, so people who have the threshold is either over 5 million in personal assets or 300K in annual revenue. So this threshold is pretty high. So any non-accredited investors, so people who earn less than that, normally could not do an investment like this. But because of the SPV, they can. It just means that 50% of the SPV will be comprised of funds coming from accredited investors. And so this is really also a goal of this program, is to really make investment something that everyone can do, and to democratize investment. And so we're really keen to support that and to see new investors coming into that space. And for you as a founder, the benefit of that is that in addition to getting also new investors into the world, into the investment world, and investing into your company, you would only have one investor, this SPV, on your cap table, so that it's easier also from a management point of view. So final part of this is, of course, the selection criteria. I think most of you who will be here will be quite keen to understand what selection criteria are used to select from the large number of applicants to the top 15. So what we will look at more specifically, of course, will be, since we are working on the women-led program, the team will be a very important factor in the selection. We will look for strong and diverse teams. And so, of course, on the point of view like teams and in companies where the ownership structure is strongly made of women, will be, of course, valued and looked at very positively. We will also look at the management, the top management, and in the employees of the companies. And so, of course, as this is the theme, this will be an important factor. We will also look at the impact and your impact-driven business model, and so how strongly your solution will, how your solution will be impactful, and how your business is really driving that solution and that impact. So in terms of sector, so we're really open to any sector as long as it's impact. But of course, we will focus a strong interest in responsible agriculture, caring for the planet, transformative health, transforming healthcare, and enabling inclusive economies and communities. So these topics, which are, as Kahe described, so as you will recognize as the main also themes of the Telus Pollinator Fund for Good. But these are kind of very covering, I think, most of the main topics that we see in impact, and so we're very excited to see applications from all these sectors. We will look also at in terms of stage and what stage of what is the stage that we will be focusing on. I think we try to take a good diversity in terms of stage in the cohorts. It can go from pre-seed, so really early stage companies with which are operating will be considered, and then we will also look at up to the seed stage. So it's usually quite valuable for us to have also a good variety of levels of maturity of projects. So really feel free also to reach out and to apply if you think that this could be a good fit for you. And then we'll also look at investability, and so like this will be one of the criterias. How much are you wanting to raise? So if you already have a number in mind of how much you're seeking to raise, this will be also a good asset for your application. If it's not an exact number, that's totally fine. But if you have already a range, that will be very useful, because then as you have interaction with the investors, you will get a chance to define that more clearly. But have a clear ask will be valued. And on the location, as we discussed this already, it will be for companies based in Canada. I don't know if Kahe, you have anything to add on that and on the selection.
I don't think so. I think you've covered it all. I think it's a really exciting theme or way that this one is structured, is that it's really around impact-focused companies, and then really how can we enable the female founders, women-led founders on this side. So I think it's pretty. You've done a good job clarifying it.
Great. Yeah, and so just maybe so now on the next steps. So the founder application deadline is September 1st. So you have still a few weeks to send in your applications. We've already received quite a few, and so very keen to see those applications come in. We will review these applications the first week of September, with a goal of announcing the top 15 September 7th. So here you kind of have the application that is shared in the chat. You can also use the button at the bottom, just below your screen, that says apply now. And feel free to also reach out to the team. We'd be happy to answer your questions if you have any on the application process. And then, so the first session, the founder orientation session, will be on September 15th, and the investor application deadline on September 16th. So the sessions themselves will be on every Tuesday from 3 to 5 PST, and so hoping that this meets that this fits for most of you. I didn't add this here, but these are the timings, and so for weekly sessions for the companies who are going to be in the program. Great. Let's see. So now is the time for question. So feel free to put them in the ask a question. Is there an expectation of any parameter around percentage ownership given for the 100K? Great question, Stephanie. It will really depend. There's no specific expectation. I think it really depends on where your company is at and where you are also in your fundraising journey. Sometimes the winning the investor challenge means that this will be an addition to an existing fundraising round that you have that is ongoing, and so that if that's the case, that's totally fine. You either or you can have this will be the amount that you're raising is the investor challenge, the total. So you can either have this as part of a larger round, or just be focused on this amount. And then depending on the valuation, of course, of your company, the percentage will vary on how much of your company that will represent. But there's no expectation around that. I'll leave a bit more time. You want to ask? Feel free to do so. Are funds considered, or is the challenge for companies only? Great questions. This company, I think that what that means is the companies who can apply. It's companies who can apply. We won't have a fund participate. But good question. Actually, I hadn't thought about that. Okay, a question from Cheryl. Sorry if I missed it. What are the terms for the investment? Is it safe? So yeah, no. So there are no set terms. We have done safes. So for those who don't know what a safe is, it's a future agreement. It's an agreement for future equity, and so it's a form of convertible capital. So in the past we've had equity safes, of course, done, and convertible loans. So there are no set. It's whatever the founder comes with. You as founder, if you prefer a safe or equity or debt, even a loan is possible. And then it will be up to the investors to decide if this is the type of instrument that they think that they would like to invest in, and that if they agree with the terms. Looking at questions in the chat also. So can the GP general partner apply from Sid? Yeah, I mean, so as mentioned, this challenge is really focused on women founders of impactful companies. Yeah. Thank you for the thank yous. Two questions. Does evidence or pre-orders or quantifiable interest in the product count as traction? Yeah, so it's a bit hard to answer that right away. I mean, it's true that if you're looking to raise funds, we will. It's of course a question of timing and what is the right timing. And so if you think that you have enough traction now to justify raising funds with investors, and you think it's the right stage for you, feel free to apply, and then we will consider your application. Another question: will the investors become active partners along with their investment, or are they more silent partner? Sorry, just double checking. Yeah, so it's more of a question on what will happen to the investors once they've invested. Usually, so they are gathered in the SPV, and the plan is that they are consulted. Of course, you would share information with them and share a quarterly reporting to keep them updated on your company. And then, of course, once there are successive rounds going, they will be, all the investors will be consulted for what they want to do, and if they want to follow up on the investment or exit. And so then I think in terms of the interactions that you will have with the investors, it will probably depend on what relationships you have built throughout the program, and if some of them will want to stay involved and take an active role, a mentoring role, or if you need it. And so this is more of up to discussion with the investors for the winning company. How likely are you to consider non-Canadian based companies? Yeah, so this really the program is for companies based in Canada. how much of the company need to be women-owned? Great question. So we I don't know if you want to answer that, Kahe. Sorry to put you on the spot. How much of the company needs to be owned by women?
I think we open up the cap table for us anyways, pollinator, and we don't have like a minimum threshold, like it has to be 50%, but the folks on the cap table, the women need to be material decision makers in the company, and there needs to be a significant portion that is women owned on that side. So, and I think, well, you know, every investor has a very different perspective on how that gender diversity is built in. So I think the Spring team, we're trying to, you know, bring in different investors to also share perspectives on how gender diversity is built into that diligence process. So the real principle is, are the women founders key in the decision making and a meaningful place on the cap table?
No, so that's great. And I think in the application form, you also have space to kind of describe also what's the cap table situation. But yeah, I think I nailed it on the leadership roles.
Unfortunately, we know that you know, there's some companies that they just kind of put, you know, faces on the management team to kind of think that, you know, folks who are not as, or investors who are not as rigorous about it will kind of not understand. But we're really looking for that support, that, you know, need for and recognition that women leadership of companies and ownership is, you know, the key to successful companies.
There's a question also, Kula Foods, is there a specific amount of revenue required for companies to apply? So no, there is no, and we have had pre-revenue companies participating in these programs, so there is no minimum or maximum. Can a partner be based outside of Canada? Yeah, so what we will look at is where the company is registered. And so if there are owners that are outside of Canada, that is not an issue. Great. Okay, and so we'll stay a little bit on for any additional questions. I just wanted to share the feedback form. So if you have 30 seconds at the end of this call, we'd be really grateful if you can share any feedback on the session, any additional comments, or how we could improve them to make them better. So we really value your feedback. Takes 30 seconds, and so thank you very much for doing that. But yeah, so happy to stay a bit on. Kahe, I think you had a timeline and a need to leave at 1. So I wanted to thank you really for being part of this. I think people who will participate will see much more of you during the course of this program. But yeah.
Yeah, thanks for the
final word.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. Really, I do have to drop, but I just, for all the folks on the call, I was at a networking event a few weeks ago, and a woman founder walked up to me because we were talking about diversity and how important that was, and how Pollinators Fund really is, a significant part of our portfolio is women-led founders, and she herself is leading a very successful organics company, kind of selling into large retailers, and she was telling me how much of a uphill battle it was for her to secure financing, and how her recommendation to others, friends who are starting a company, is you might want to think about putting a male on your kind of management team to improve those investor relationships. And I was just very disappointed for her in the state of investing, that this is what needs to happen, because we know that that's not where the talent lies. So for all the women founders here on the call, like this is an incredible opportunity for all the investors who are aspiring to back really exciting companies. Like, this is an opportunity to really move the needle on diversity within a portfolio company, and really kudos to Spring for taking the leadership in assembling this challenge to focus on this really important kind of issue within the investing space. Great. So with that, I'll leave you
Yeah.
And we'll definitely be in touch throughout the program.
Yeah. Thanks, Gahe.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Bye. So happy to stay on and to answer any questions. Wondering how a pre-revenue company is evaluated. Do you look for some tractions pre-order? Yeah, so we will look probably. It depends at what is being created, and so often the companies that we had at pre-revenue, there was a lot of R&D and IP that was being built. So we would look at that more specifically, and the investors will look at that. And dig a bit more into the needs, and these are companies that are on the technology side often have a lot of investment needed before they can get to revenues. Also in the medical space, and so we do look at the potential of the product, and the investor look at the potential of the product and the IP. Thank you all for joining us today. It was great pleasure to see the great interest in this info session. So thank you for taking some time in your busy day or your sunny day to be with us. We're really excited to hear more from you and to see your applications come in. And so and do feel free to reach out. Spring, we're here also and available, and happy to connect with you and answer any questions. And so speak to you all very soon. Enjoy the rest of your day.